50 wealthy guests watched in horror as a 12-year-old boy in mud-stained clothes was dragged toward the mansion's entrance. The millionaire pointed at him like he was garbage, his family's cruel laughter echoing off marble walls. What none of them knew was that in exactly 4 minutes, one word would turn their perfect evening into a nightmare no one would ever forget. "Security! Get this filthy child out of my house!" Harrison Ashford's voice thundered through the grand ballroom, silencing the string quartet mid-note. Champagne glasses froze mid-air. Conversations died. 50 pairs of eyes turned toward the mansion's entrance, where a small, mud-covered boy stood trembling. Ethan Chen had made it inside. Barely. He'd slipped through the service entrance during the catering rush, desperate to reach Mr. Ashford before it was too late. His mother's words echoed in his dying breath. "Find Harrison Ashford. Make him listen. It's your only chance." Now, standing in the center of unimaginable wealth, crystal chandeliers, marble floors, women dripping in diamonds, Ethan realized he'd made a terrible mistake. "I'm sorry," Ethan whispered, his voice lost in the cavernous space. "I just need to speak with Mr. Ashford. It's about—" "You need to leave." Blake Ashford materialized in front of him, blocking his path. At 17, Blake wore a custom tuxedo that cost more than Ethan's entire yearly expenses. His handsome face twisted with disgust. "Before you contaminate something expensive." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore, draped in fur despite the spring warmth, clutched her pearls. "Harrison, dear, where did this child come from?" "The gutter, apparently," Victoria Ashford said, descending the grand staircase in a crimson gown that matched her lipstick and her cold heart. Her heels clicked like a countdown. "Look at him. Mud on our Persian rugs. Is that duct tape on his shoes?" More laughter. Louder this time. Emboldened. Ethan's face burned. He looked down at his sneakers, the gray tape barely holding them together, leaving dirty prints on the pristine white marble. His jacket, 2 sizes too big, dripped rainwater. His jeans, worn thin at the knees, were caked with mud from the 3-mile walk through the storm. "Please," Ethan tried again, his voice cracking. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. My mother said—" "Your mother should have taught you about boundaries," Blake interrupted, circling Ethan like a predator. He pulled out his phone, recording. "Hey everyone, smile. We're documenting the moment a street urchin thought he could crash the Ashford annual gala. Blake, that's enough." Madison Ashford, 15 and uncomfortable in her designer dress, touched her brother's arm. "He's just a kid." "Exactly. A kid who doesn't belong here." Blake zoomed in on Ethan's face. "Look at him. Probably hasn't showered in weeks. Can you imagine the diseases?" Senator Richard Thornton chuckled from his position by the bar. "Harrison, you really should improve your security." "What if he'd been dangerous?" "He is dangerous," Victoria said, reaching Harrison's side. Together they looked like American royalty, powerful, beautiful, untouchable. "He's making our guests uncomfortable." "I'm not trying to cause trouble," Ethan said, his voice stronger now, pushed by desperation. "Mr. Ashford, please, just 5 minutes. My mother is Sarah Chen. She said you'd remember her." "She said—" Harrison's face went white. For 1 second, everything stopped. Then Victoria's laugh shattered the moment, sharp, bitter, knowing. Oh, this is rich." "Harrison, darling, are we being haunted by your past tonight?" The crowd shifted, sensing drama. Phones appeared. The whispers started. Blake's smile vanished. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "Nothing." Harrison's voice was steel. "Marcus, where the hell is security?" "Right here, sir." Marcus, the head of security, appeared with 2 guards, but his eyes, trained to read people, lingered on Ethan's face with disturbing recognition. "Remove him, now." "Wait!" Ethan's shout echoed through the ballroom. "Please, just listen. My mother is dying. She's at Memorial Hospital right now. A very serious, advanced illness. The doctors said days, maybe hours. She needs to stop using her child to manipulate strangers," Victoria snapped. "Guards, take him." "I'm not manipulating anyone." Tears streamed down Ethan's face now, hot and unstoppable. "She's dying. Don't you understand? She's all I have, and she's dying, and she told me. The guards grabbed his arms. Ethan struggled. his small frame no match for grown men. "She told me you were a good man." The words exploded from Ethan with such raw pain that several guests looked away. "She said if anything happened to her, you'd help me. She said you'd understand. She said—" "Your mother lied." Blake's voice cut like glass. "My father doesn't know you. He doesn't know her. And he certainly doesn't owe you anything." "Blake's right." Harrison's voice was hollow. "Dead. Take him out. If he comes back, call the police." "No!" Ethan twisted in the guard's grip, his desperation giving him wild strength. "You don't understand. She has papers, medical records. She made me promise." "Enough!" Harrison roared. "I don't care about papers or promises or sob stories. You invaded my home. You disrupted my event. You will leave now, or I will have you arrested for trespassing." The ballroom fell silent. Even the string quartet looked horrified. Ethan stopped struggling. He went completely still, staring at Harrison with those dark brown eyes ringed with gold. Those distinctive, unforgettable eyes. "She was right about one thing," Ethan whispered. "She said you were a coward. She said that's why she never told you. She said you'd run away." Harrison's face twisted. "Get him out." As the guards dragged Ethan toward the door, he pulled something from his jacket. A crumpled envelope, somehow still dry. It fell to the marble floor, skidding across the expensive tile. "Those are her medical records," Ethan screamed. "That's the consent form for genetic testing. That's the proof that—" The door slammed shut, cutting off his words. Silence. Victoria bent gracefully, retrieving the envelope with 2 fingers like it might be contaminated. She turned it over, read the hospital label, and her face went carefully blank. "Well," she handed it to Harrison. "Aren't you going to open it?" "There's nothing to open." But Harrison's hands shook as he took the envelope. "It's obviously a scam." "Then open it," Victoria pressed, her voice honey-sweet and venomous. "Prove to everyone here that this was just some random child looking for a handout." The guests pressed closer, their previous discomfort forgotten in favor of scandal. This was better than any entertainment Harrison could have planned. Blake snatched the envelope from his father's hands. "I'll do it. I'll prove this is all—" He stopped, his face drained of all color. "Blake?" Madison moved to her brother's side, looking at the papers. Her gasp was audible. "Oh my God!" "What?" Victoria's composure cracked. "What does it say?" Blake's hands trembled so violently the papers rattled. He looked up at his father and there was something terrible in his eyes. Betrayal, understanding, horror. "It's a birth certificate," Blake whispered. "Ethan Chen. Born 13 years ago at Memorial Hospital." His voice broke. "Mother, Sarah Chen. Father." He couldn't say it. He held up the document instead. In the space for father's name was printed, Harrison James Ashford. The ballroom exploded. Gasps, shouts, phones capturing everything. Mrs. Whitmore actually stumbled, caught by the senator. The string quartet had given up any pretense of playing. Victoria made a sound like she'd been stabbed. "No, no, you told me it was over. You promised me." "I didn't know." Harrison's voice came from somewhere far away. "Victoria, I swear, I didn't know about a child. She never told me. I never—" "You threw him out!" Blake's scream silenced everyone. "He's your son, and you threw him out like trash, in front of everyone. You humiliated him. You—" His voice shattered completely. "I humiliated him. I filmed him. I called him diseased, and he's my—" "Brother." The word hung unspoken. Madison was crying openly now, mascara running down her face. "We have to get him back. Dad, we have to—" "There's more." Blake's voice was hollow as he shuffled through the papers. "Hospital admission form. Critical condition. Her internal organs are failing. Patient Sarah Chen requires immediate transplant. Best chance of match? Immediate family." He looked up, his face aged a decade in minutes. "She's dying, and we just threw out her son. Mocked him, destroyed him." Harrison moved then, finally, running toward the door. He burst through, Victoria and Blake close behind, Madison following. The guests flooded after them like a wave, unable to resist the drama. The rain had intensified. In the circular driveway, lit by mansion lights, Ethan sat on the wet pavement beside the fountain. He wasn't crying anymore. He'd gone beyond tears into a kind of numb shock. His small frame shook with cold. His lips had a blue tinge. He clutched his backpack like it was the only solid thing in a dissolving world. "Ethan." Harrison's voice was unrecognizable. The boy looked up slowly. When he saw Harrison, saw the papers in Blake's hands, his face showed no hope, only resignation. "I'm leaving," Ethan said quietly. "I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll tell Mom. I'll tell her I couldn't find you. She doesn't need to know." "She can die thinking you might have helped if you'd known." "Don't." Harrison knelt in the rain, ruining his $1,000 shoes. "Don't go. Please." "Why not?" Ethan's voice was dead. "You made it clear I don't belong here. Your son made it clear. Your wife made it clear. Everyone in that room made it very clear. They were wrong." Harrison's voice broke. "I was wrong. God, Ethan, I was so wrong." "Were you?" Ethan stood on shaking legs. "Mom said you had a new family. A perfect family. She said she never told you about me because she didn't want to ruin it. Looks like she was right." He gestured to the mansion, the gawking crowd. "Your perfect life. Consider it still perfect. I was never here." He turned to walk away. "You have my eyes." Blake's voice stopped him. Ethan turned back slowly. Blake descended the steps, no longer caring about his tuxedo in the rain. He stood in front of Ethan, really looking at him for the first time. "You have our eyes. The gold ring. Dad has it. I have it. My grandmother had it. It's genetic, distinctive, rare." He pulled out his phone, held it up. On the screen was the video he'd recorded. Ethan's face, terrified and humiliated, his eyes clearly visible even through the fear. Those eyes. "I'm sorry," Blake whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have looked. I should have seen. I should have been better. But I'm looking now, and I see you. I see you. And you're my brother." The word, spoken aloud finally, shattered something in all of them. Madison pushed forward, rain soaking her expensive dress. "I see you too. And I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed of what we did to you." Victoria stood apart, silent, her face a mask of complex emotions. But even she didn't contradict them. Harrison reached out slowly, giving Ethan every chance to pull away. When the boy didn't move, Harrison placed both hands on his small shoulders. 14 years ago, I made a choice to walk away from your mother. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was engaged to Victoria. I thought I was being honorable." His voice cracked. "I was a coward. Your mother was right. And because of my cowardice, you've spent 13 years without a father. Your mother's spent 13 years raising you alone. And now she's dying, and you came here, terrified, desperate, and I..." He couldn't finish. "You threw me out," Ethan finished softly. "Yes." Harrison's tears mixed with rain. "I threw out my own son, in front of 50 people. I let them humiliate you. I let Blake humiliate you, because I was too afraid to face my past, too afraid to let my perfect image crack." He pulled Ethan close, and the boy was so cold, so fragile. "I can't undo what I did tonight, but I can start being your father right now, starting with saving your mother." Ethan pulled back, his eyes searching Harrison's face. "You'll do the genetic test?" "All of us will," Harrison said firmly. He looked at Blake and Madison. "Won't we?" "Yes." Blake moved to stand beside his father. "Whatever she needs. Whatever you need." Madison joined them, creating a semicircle around Ethan. "You're family. You've always been family. We just didn't know." The guests watched from the doorway, their phones recording every moment. Tomorrow, this would be everywhere. The perfect Ashford family, revealed as broken. The secret son publicly humiliated, then reclaimed. But right now, in this moment, none of that mattered. What mattered was Ethan, looking at the three people who shared his distinctive eyes, and allowing himself, maybe for the first time in his life, to hope. "Tomorrow morning," Harrison said. "First thing, we go to Memorial Hospital. We meet your mother. We do the tests. All of us. And tonight," Ethan's voice was so small, "tonight you come inside. You get warm. You eat. You rest." Harrison stood, keeping one hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You're home now." "Home," Ethan repeated, the word strange and precious. As they walked back toward the mansion, Harrison, Blake, Madison, and Ethan, Victoria remained frozen on the steps, watching her husband claim his secret son, watching her children embrace their hidden brother, watching her perfect world dissolve in the rain. But in her eyes, beneath the anger and betrayal, something else flickered. something that looked almost like acceptance, or maybe just the beginning of it. The guests parted silently as the family passed, their judgment replaced by something more complicated. Several women were crying. Senator Thornton had the grace to look ashamed. Mrs. Whitmore had removed her phone from recording mode. Because sometimes the most viral moment isn't the humiliation, it's the redemption that follows. The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and dying hope. Ethan walked ahead, his borrowed clothes, Blake's old sweatpants and hoodie, hanging loose on his thin frame. Behind him, the Ashford family moved like strangers forced together on a sinking ship, each lost in their own storm of emotions. Harrison's hands trembled as he checked the room number again. 847. Sarah's room. The woman he'd loved 13 years ago. The woman he'd abandoned. The woman who'd raised his son in silence while he built an empire. Dad. Blake's voice was quiet. Are you okay? Harrison almost laughed. Was he okay? In the past 12 hours, he'd discovered he had a son, humiliated that son in front of 50 people, and now he was about to face the consequences of the worst decision he'd ever made. No, Harrison said honestly. I'm not okay. Madison walked close to Ethan, studying him with the careful attention of someone trying to memorize a stranger who wasn't supposed to be a stranger. Does she know? Your mom. Does she know what happened last night? Ethan shook his head. I told her I found you, that you agreed to help. I didn't tell her about, he couldn't finish, about the humiliation, about being called diseased, about being thrown out like garbage. Good, Madison whispered. She doesn't need to know. She should think we welcomed you. Victoria walked apart from everyone, her designer coat wrapped tight despite the hospital's warmth. She hadn't spoken since they'd left the mansion, hadn't looked at Harrison, hadn't acknowledged Ethan's existence beyond a curt nod when he'd thanked her for coming. They stopped outside room 847. Through the small window they could see a figure in the bed, small, frail, connected to too many machines. Ethan's hand hovered over the door handle. She's really sick. The treatments aren't working anymore. Her body it's shutting down. His voice cracked. She looks different than she did last week. Please don't let her see you're shocked. He pushed open the door. The woman in the bed turned her head, and Harrison's world stopped. Sarah Chen, even after 13 years, even ravaged by her internal organs are failing. Even with her skin turned grayish-yellow from toxins her body couldn't filter, her eyes sunken, her once beautiful black hair thin and brittle. Harrison would have known her anywhere. Ethan. Her voice was paper-thin. You brought them. Mom. Ethan rushed to her side, taking her hand with infinite gentleness. They came. All of them. They're going to do the tests today. Sarah's eyes moved past her son to the 4 people crowding the doorway. Her gaze locked on Harrison, and something complicated flickered across her face. Pain, anger, longing, regret. Everything he felt reflected back at him. Harrison. His name on her lips was a ghost of the past. You haven't changed. Sarah, Words failed him. What could he possibly say? I'm sorry seemed obscene. Too small. Too useless. You didn't know. Sarah said it as a statement, not a question. About Ethan. I can see it in your face. You didn't know. No. Harrison's voice broke. I didn't know. Sarah, if I had, you would have what? There was no accusation in her tone, only curiosity. Left your pregnant fiancé? Destroyed your perfect life? Chosen us? She shook her head slightly. I never told you for a reason, Harrison. I didn't want to be the thing that ruined you. Instead, I ruined you. Harrison took a step closer. You raised our son alone. You worked yourself to exhaustion. And now he couldn't say dying, couldn't make it real. Now I'm facing the consequences of my kidneys failing. Sarah's weak smile was devastating. Not your fault. Genetic condition. Bad luck. Life. Blake moved forward suddenly, surprising everyone. He stood at the foot of Sarah's bed, this 17-year-old boy who'd never faced real hardship, looking at the woman who'd faced nothing but. I'm Blake, he said quietly. I'm Ethan's brother. Sarah finished. I know. He told me about you, about all of you. Her eyes softened. He didn't tell me what you said to him last night, but I can imagine. You thought he was some stranger trying to scam your family. You protected your father. That's what sons do. Blake's face crumpled. I called him diseased. I filmed him. I was going to post it online to humiliate him. And he's my brother, my blood, my... The tears came hard and fast. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what I said, for what I did. I didn't know. But you do now. Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. And what matters is what you do next. Ethan doesn't need apologies. He needs a brother. Madison stepped forward, her hands twisted together. I'm Madison. I'm 15. I deleted the video. I swear I deleted it. And I know that doesn't make up for filming it in the first place. But I want you to know, I see him now. I see my brother. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. You're beautiful. Both of you. Ethan told me. But seeing you, you have Harrison's eyes. All three of you. She looked at her son, then at his siblings, then at their father. You're a family. You just didn't know it yet. Mrs. Chen. Victoria's voice cut through the emotion like ice. She'd finally moved from the doorway, standing rigid at the foot of the bed. I'm Victoria Ashford, Harrison's wife. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Sarah studied Victoria for a long moment. The woman he chose, the mother of his children, the life I didn't want to destroy. How noble. Victoria's words were clipped. You had an affair with my husband, got pregnant, and disappeared. Should I thank you for your discretion? Victoria, Harrison started. No. Sarah's voice, though weak, commanded attention. She has a right to her anger. Mrs. Ashford, I won't pretend what happened between Harrison and me was nothing. It was something real, something that created a child. She glanced at Ethan. But he was engaged to you. He loved you. He chose you. I made the decision to walk away because I couldn't be the person who destroyed a family before it even began. Instead, you created a secret that's destroying it now, Victoria said coldly. Yes. Sarah didn't flinch. I suppose I did. I thought I was protecting everyone. Turns out I was just delaying the inevitable. The truth always finds its way out. A knock interrupted the tension. Dr. Patricia Morrison entered, her clipboard clutched professionally, her eyes kind behind wire-rimmed glasses. Ms. Chen, I see your visitors arrived. Mr. Ashford? She extended her hand to Harrison. I'm Dr. Morrison. I've been treating Sarah for the past 6 months. Doctor. Harrison shook her hand. We're here for the compatibility testing. All of us. Doctor. Morrison's eyebrows rose slightly as she looked at Blake, Madison, and Victoria. That's quite generous. The testing is simple. Blood draw, tissue typing. Results take 3 to 5 days. But I need to be clear about something. She looked at each of them in turn. Kidney donation is serious. It's major surgery with real risks. Recovery takes weeks. And even if you're a match, you need to want to do this. No one should feel obligated. We want to, Blake said immediately. At least I do. Me too, Madison added. Harrison nodded. Whatever she needs. All eyes turned to Victoria. The silence stretched, painful, and pointed. Victoria's face was a mask, revealing nothing. I'll do the test, she said finally. But I need to be clear. I'm doing this for Ethan, not for her. Her eyes met Sarah's. A child shouldn't lose his mother because adults made complicated choices, but don't mistake my participation for forgiveness. I don't, Sarah whispered, and I don't ask for it. Dr. Morrison cleared her throat. Well then, I'll have the lab technician come up. We can do the draws here, keep Sarah comfortable. Mr. Ashford, Blake, Madison, Mrs. Ashford, if you'll follow me to the consultation room, we'll start with consent forms and medical history. As the family moved toward the door, Sarah's voice stopped Harrison. Wait, Harrison, just 1 moment, please. Harrison looked back. Sarah gestured weakly for him to come closer. When he stood beside her bed, she reached for his hand with fingers that felt like paper and bones. Thank you, she whispered, for coming, for bringing them, for giving Ethan what I couldn't, a family. Sarah, I should be thanking you. You raised an incredible son, alone, without help, without you. She finished his sentence. I know, and I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. It wasn't. There were nights I cried myself to sleep wondering if I'd made the right choice. Nights Ethan asked about his father and I had to lie. Nights I worked triple shifts and came home to find him asleep at the kitchen table doing homework, and I felt like the worst mother in the world. You're not... Let me finish. Her grip tightened with surprising strength. But I don't regret it. Any of it. Because keeping you secret meant Ethan grew up without the weight of your world. Without the expectations. Without the pressure. He got to be just a kid. A kid who helped his mom with groceries and did his homework and dreamed about being an astronaut. Her smile was heartbreaking. He got to be himself. Not an Ashford. Not an heir. Just Ethan. And now? Harrison's voice cracked. What happens now? Now he becomes an Ashford. Sarah's eyes were fierce despite her weakness. And you need to promise me something, Harrison. Promise me you won't let him lose himself in your world. Promise me he'll still be Ethan. Kind, humble, compassionate. Even when he has everything money can buy. I promise. The words felt sacred. I swear to you, Sarah. I'll protect him. His voice broke completely. I'll be the father I should have been from the beginning. Sarah's hand released his. Then I can die, knowing he'll be okay. Don't. Harrison knelt beside her bed. Don't talk about dying. You're going to survive this. One of us will be a match. You'll get the transplant. You'll recover. You'll see Ethan graduate high school, college. You'll see him get married. Have children. Harrison. Sarah's voice was gentle. We both know that's probably not true. My body is failing. Fast. Even with a transplant, the damage is extensive. The doctors give me maybe a 20% chance of surviving the surgery, and that's if we find a match in time. 20% is still a chance. 20% is something to hope for, but it's not something to count on. She looked past Harrison to where Ethan stood in the doorway watching them. Which is why I need to know he'll have you. All of you. I need to know my boy will have a family when I'm gone. He'll have us, Harrison promised. All of us. I swear it. Behind him, Blake's voice rang out, clear and sure. He's my brother. That doesn't change whether you're here or not, Ms. Chen. He's family now. Forever. Madison nodded, tears streaming down her face. We won't let him be alone. Ever. Even Victoria, standing rigid in the doorway, gave a small nod. The boy is innocent in all of this. He'll be cared for. Sarah's face transformed. The fear, the pain, the exhaustion, all of it softened into something like peace. Then I can rest, knowing that. Knowing he'll be loved. Mom, stop. Ethan rushed to her side. Stop talking like this. You're going to be fine. One of them will be a match. You'll get the transplant. We'll go home. Ethan. Sarah cupped her son's face with hands that shook. My brave, beautiful boy. I need you to hear me. If something happens, nothing's going to happen. If something happens, she continued firmly, I need you to know that every single moment with you has been worth it. Every sacrifice, every struggle, every lonely night. You are the best thing I ever did. The best thing I ever was. And I don't regret a single second of being your mother. Ethan collapsed against her, his sobs muffled against her hospital gown. I can't lose you. I can't. You're all I have. No. Sarah's voice was fierce. You have them now. You have a father, brothers, a sister. You have a family, Ethan. A whole family. And they'll love you when I can't anymore. The lab technician arrived then, breaking the moment with professional efficiency. Ashford family? I'm here for the blood draws. The next hour passed in a blur of needles and consent forms and medical jargon. Blake went first, trying to be brave, turning pale at the sight of his own blood. Madison held his hand through it, then went herself without flinching. Harrison barely felt the needle, too numb with emotion to register physical pain. Victoria submitted to the procedure with cold efficiency, her face revealing nothing. Through it all, Ethan sat with his mother, holding her hand, watching the machines that kept her alive beep their steady rhythm. Each beep a countdown, each breath a borrowed moment. When it was done, Dr. Morrison returned with her clipboard. Results in 3 to 5 days. We'll rush them, given the urgency. In the meantime, Sarah needs rest, and all of you, she looked at the fractured family, all of you need to process this. It's a lot, for everyone. As they filed out, Ethan lingered in the doorway. His mother had fallen asleep, exhausted by the visit. She looked so small in that bed, so fragile, like she might disappear if he looked away. Come on. Blake's hand landed gently on Ethan's shoulder. Let her rest. We'll come back tomorrow. What if... Ethan couldn't finish the sentence. What if she dies tonight? What if I never see her again? What if this is the last time? Then we'll face it together, Blake said quietly. But she's going to be okay. She has to be. Because she's fighting for you and people who fight for their kids. They don't give up easy. Madison took Ethan's other side, and together, the three of them walked down the hospital corridor. Behind them, Harrison watched his 3 children, all 3 of them, walk away as a unit. And for the first time since Ethan had appeared at his gate, Harrison felt something other than guilt and shame. He felt hope. The call came at 2:47 a.m. Harrison's phone vibrated on the nightstand, pulling him from a restless sleep he'd barely achieved. The screen glowed with a number he'd memorized in the past 48 hours. Memorial Hospital. His heart stopped. Mr. Ashford? Dr. Morrison's voice was professional, carefully neutral. I need you to come to the hospital. Now. Is she... Harrison couldn't finish the question. Beside him, Victoria sat up, her face pale in the darkness. She's alive, but her condition has deteriorated rapidly. We need to discuss some urgent decisions, and... The doctor paused. We have the test results. Harrison was out of bed before she finished the sentence. I'm on my way. 20 minutes. Dad? Blake appeared in the doorway, his hair disheveled, eyes wide with fear. He'd been sleeping in the guest room near Ethan, both boys too anxious to be alone. Is it Ethan's mom? They have the test results. Harrison pulled on clothes with shaking hands. Get your brother. Both of them. We're going to the hospital. Within 15 minutes, the Ashford family was in the car, speeding through empty streets. Ethan sat between Blake and Madison in the back seat, his face pressed against the window, silent tears streaming down his cheeks. She's going to be okay, Madison whispered, taking his hand. The results are back. That means they found a match. They can do the surgery. Or they didn't find a match. Ethan's voice was hollow. And they're calling us to say goodbye. The words hung heavy in the car's silence. When they burst through the hospital doors, Dr. Morrison was waiting in the lobby, her face unreadable. Conference room, this way. They followed her into a small, sterile room. Through the window, they could see Sarah's room, the lights blazing, nurses moving with urgent purpose around her bed. What happened? Harrison demanded. You said she was stable yesterday. Her kidneys failed completely 2 hours ago. We've got her on emergency dialysis, but her body isn't responding. She's going into multi-organ failure. Dr. Morrison's clinical tone couldn't hide the gravity. Without a transplant in the next 24 to 48 hours, she won't survive the week. Ethan made a sound like a wounded animal. The test results, Victoria said sharply. You said you had them. Doctor. Morrison pulled out a folder, her expression shifting to something almost like wonder. Yes, and this is unusual. Medically fascinating, actually. She opened the file. We tested all 4 of you for tissue compatibility, blood type, HLA markers, cross-match analysis. The odds of finding a perfect match in a family are roughly 1 in 4 for siblings, lower for parents due to only sharing half the genetic material. Just tell us, Blake said desperately. Who's the match? All of you. Silence. I'm sorry? Harrison's voice was faint. All 4 of you are viable matches. Harrison, you're a 5 out of 6 HLA match. Excellent for a parent. Blake, you're a perfect 6 out of 6. Madison, also 6 out of 6. Dr. Morrison's eyes moved to Victoria. And Mrs. Ashford, you're a 4 out of 6 match. Not perfect, but viable. Victoria's face went white. That's not possible. I'm not related to her. I can't be a match. Blood type compatibility doesn't require relation, Dr. Morrison explained. You're O positive. Sarah is O positive. Your tissue markers happen to be compatible enough. It's rare, but not impossible. Wait. Blake leaned forward. If Madison and I are both perfect matches, why do you look worried? Use one of us. Do the surgery. Dr. Morrison's expression darkened. That's where we have a problem. Blake, you're 17. Madison, you're 15. Legally, you're minors. We'd need parental consent for either of you to donate. And even with consent, the ethics board would be reluctant. Kidney donation from minors is controversial, especially when adult options exist. But I want to do it. Blake stood, his chair scraping harshly. She's my brother's mother. She's dying. Who cares about ethics when someone's life is on the line? The medical community cares. The law cares. Dr. Morrison's tone was gentle but firm. Blake, I understand your willingness, but you need to understand what you're offering. This is major surgery, 6 to 8 weeks recovery, possible complications, infection, bleeding, blood clots, long-term risks to your remaining kidney. You're 17. You have your whole life ahead of you. And she has her whole death ahead of her if we don't act. Blake's voice cracked. I'm not a child. I can make this decision. Actually, legally, you can't. Dr. Morrison looked at Harrison and Victoria. Your parents can, but they'd have to live with putting their teenage son through major surgery. That's a burden I wouldn't wish on anyone. Harrison's mind raced. What about me? I'm an adult. I'm a match. Use me. You're a good match, not a perfect one. With Blake or Madison, Sarah's chances of rejection are minimal. With you, they're higher. Given her compromised state, we want the best possible odds. Then use me, Victoria said. Every head turned. Victoria stood slowly, her face a mask of complex emotions. I'm an adult. I'm a viable match. I have no legal barriers. Use me. Victoria! Harrison started. Don't. Her voice was ice. Don't make this about us. Don't make this about our marriage or my feelings about your affair or any of it. She looked at Dr. Morrison. From a purely medical standpoint, what are her chances with my kidney versus Harrison's? Roughly equal. You're both suboptimal compared to the children, but viable. The surgery would have the same risks for either of you. Then use me. Victoria's jaw set with determination. Because if we use Harrison and something goes wrong, these children lose their father. Blake, Madison, and Ethan. But if something goes wrong with me, she didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. The children would still have Harrison. Mom, no. Madison's voice trembled. You can't. What if I do nothing and watch a woman die when I could save her? Victoria's mask cracked slightly. What if I let my pride and my anger cost a child his mother? What if I could live with myself after that? She looked at Ethan directly for the first time. I can't. Ethan stared at her, tears streaming freely now. Why? You don't even like me. You said you were only doing the test for me, not for her. I don't have to like the situation to do what's right. Victoria's voice softened almost imperceptibly. Your mother made a choice 13 years ago that hurt me, hurt my family. But she also made a choice to raise you alone rather than destroy my marriage. She could have demanded money, support, recognition. She didn't. She suffered in silence so I could have my perfect life. Victoria's hands trembled. I may not forgive her, but I can try to save her. Mrs. Ashford. Dr. Morrison's voice was careful. I need to be very clear. This surgery is risky, for both donor and recipient. Sarah's body is compromised. Even with a perfect match, her chances of surviving the surgery are only about 20%. With a 4 out of 6 match, those odds drop. And for you, as the donor, there are risks. I understand the risks, Victoria interrupted. When can we do it? We'd need to run more tests, verify compatibility, prep both of you. Earliest would be tomorrow afternoon. Then tomorrow afternoon, Victoria turned to Harrison. Make whatever arrangements need to be made. I want the best surgical team, the best facility. Spare no expense. Harrison nodded, too stunned to speak. Dr. Morrison stood. I'll start the preparations. Mrs. Ashford, we'll need to admit you within the next few hours for pre-op. Mr. Ashford, I'll need you to sign consent forms. She paused at the door. What you're doing. It's extraordinary. Sarah is incredibly fortunate. When the doctor left, silence filled the room. Blake was the first to move. He crossed to his mother and wrapped her in a fierce hug. You're the bravest person I know. I'm not brave. Victoria's voice was muffled against her son's shoulder. I'm terrified. But sometimes doing the right thing means being terrified, and doing it anyway. Madison joined the embrace, tears soaking into her mother's expensive coat. I love you, Mom. I love you both. So much. Victoria held her children tight. Which is why I have to do this. Because I need you to understand something. Compassion isn't weakness. Forgiveness isn't defeat. And sometimes the hardest person to be is the bigger person. Ethan stood apart, watching the family that was technically his, but felt impossibly distant. Harrison saw him, saw the boy's isolation, and made a decision. "Ethan." Harrison held out his hand. "Come here." The boy hesitated, then slowly crossed the room. Harrison pulled him into the family embrace, and after a moment, Blake and Madison shifted to include him fully. "You're part of this," Harrison said firmly. "Part of us. Your mother is fighting for her life, and we're all fighting with her. Together." Victoria's hand, still wrapped around Blake and Madison, slowly extended to touch Ethan's shoulder. It was a small gesture, barely perceptible, but it meant everything. They stood like that for a long moment, 5 people who'd been strangers 3 days ago, bound together by crisis and choice and the messy, complicated reality of love. A nurse knocked softly. "The patient is asking for her son. And for Mr. Ashford." They broke apart, and Ethan rushed toward his mother's room with Harrison close behind. Blake and Madison moved to follow, but Victoria stopped them. "Give them a moment," she said quietly. "This is their time." Inside room 847, Sarah looked worse than she had 24 hours ago. The machines beeped more urgently. Her skin had a grayish pallor, but her eyes, when they found Ethan, were fierce with love. "My boy," she whispered. "They told me about the surgery, about Victoria." "She's going to save you, Mom." Ethan clutched her hand. "She's going to give you her kidney, and you're going to be okay." "She's giving me a chance," Sarah corrected gently. "Not a guarantee. Ethan, you need to understand." "No." Ethan's voice was fierce. "You're going to survive. You have to. I just found a family. I can't lose you now." Sarah's eyes moved to Harrison. "You'll take care of him if—" "When you recover," Harrison interrupted firmly. "When you recover, we'll all take care of him. Together. You, me, Victoria, Blake, Madison. He'll have all of us. And if I don't recover, then he'll still have all of us. But you will, Sarah. You're the strongest person I know. You survived 13 years alone. You raised an incredible son. You fought. Her internal organs are failing for months. You don't get to give up now." Sarah's weak laugh turned into a cough. "When did you become an optimist?" "When I realized what I'd lost, what I could still lose." Harrison's voice broke. "Sarah, I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving you. For not knowing about Ethan. For not being there when you needed me. I can't change the past, but I can promise you the future. He'll never be alone. Never be without family. I swear it." "I know." Sarah's fingers tightened weakly around Ethan's hand. "I see the way they look at him now. Blake and Madison. They see their brother. That's all I needed." Her eyes closed. Exhaustion overwhelming her. "Tell Victoria. Tell her thank you. Tell her I know what it costs her. Tell her I'm sorry." "You can tell her yourself," Ethan said desperately. "After the surgery. When you wake up. You'll tell her yourself." Sarah's smile was heartbreaking. "Yes, when I wake up." But the way she said it, like a promise she wasn't sure she could keep, shattered something in all of them. The surgical ward at 6 a.m. existed in a strange twilight, too early for most visitors, too late for night shift routines. Victoria Ashford sat on the edge of her hospital bed, already dressed in the thin surgical gown, staring at her reflection in the darkened window. In 12 hours, she'd either save a woman's life or die trying. The statistics kept echoing in her mind. 20% chance Sarah would survive. 15% chance of major complications for Victoria herself. Numbers that felt abstract until they became your reality. "Mom?" Victoria turned. Madison stood in the doorway, her eyes red from crying, clutching a small gift bag. "Sweetheart, what are you doing here so early?" "I couldn't sleep." Madison crossed the room, sitting beside her mother. "Every time I closed my eyes, I kept thinking about what could go wrong, about losing you." Her voice cracked. "I know you're doing this amazing thing, but I'm terrified." Victoria pulled her daughter close. "I'm terrified too." "Then why are you doing it?" "Because being terrified and doing nothing makes you a coward. Being terrified and doing it anyway makes you brave." Victoria kissed Madison's hair. "And I want you to see what brave looks like. Real brave. Not the kind where you're not afraid. The kind where you're absolutely terrified, but you do the right thing regardless." Madison pulled back, reaching into the gift bag. "I brought you something. For luck." She pulled out a delicate silver bracelet, the one Victoria had given her for her 13th birthday. You told me when you gave this to me that it belonged to your grandmother, that she wore it through every hard moment of her life. I want you to wear it today. Victoria's hands trembled as she fastened the bracelet. Thank you, baby. Come back to me, Madison whispered. Please, do this incredible thing. Save Ethan's mom. Be the hero. But come back to me. I will, I promise. But they both knew it was a promise she might not be able to keep. Down the hall, in Sarah's pre-op room, the scene was quieter, but no less emotional. Sarah lay still, an oxygen mask covering most of her face, while Ethan held her hand with both of his. I don't want you to be scared, Sarah said, her voice muffled by the mask. I'm not scared. The lie was obvious. Ethan's whole body shook. Liar. Sarah managed a weak smile. My brave boy. Always trying to protect me. Someone has to. Ethan's tears fell on their clasped hands. Mom, what if? No what ifs. Not today. Sarah pulled the mask aside, despite the nurse's disapproving look. Today we have faith. Faith in the doctors. Faith in Victoria. Faith that sometimes the universe gives us second chances. Do you think it will work? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. I think Victoria Ashford is one of the strongest women I've ever encountered. I think if anyone can survive giving away a piece of themselves to save a stranger, it's her. And I think she struggled for breath. I think if I can survive this, I owe her the rest of my life trying to deserve it. Harrison appeared in the doorway, looking exhausted. He hadn't slept. None of them had. They're prepping Victoria now. Surgery starts in 2 hours. Harrison, Sarah's voice stopped him. If something goes wrong, if I don't. If I don't make it, Sarah continued firmly, you need to know something. Ethan has a box under my bed at our apartment. It has letters. One for him, for every birthday until he turns 18. One for you. One for Victoria, Blake, and Madison. She coughed, the effort costing her. Everything I wanted them to know. Everything I couldn't say. You'll give them those letters yourself, Harrison said desperately. When you're recovered, when you're strong, you'll… Harrison, please. Sarah's eyes were fierce. Let me have this. Let me know that even if my body fails, my words will survive. My love for him will survive. Harrison crossed the room, kneeling beside the bed. I hate this. I hate that I can't fix this. I hate that money and power and everything I've built means nothing right now. It means everything. Sarah's hand found his. Your wife is sacrificing her body to save mine. Your children have embraced my son. You've given Ethan a family. Harrison, you've given me the only thing that matters. Peace, knowing he won't be alone. In the surgical waiting room, Blake paced like a caged animal, while Madison sat curled in a chair, Victoria's bracelet twin on her own wrist. A matching set their mother had given them years ago. This is taking forever, Blake muttered. They said 6 a.m. prep. It's 6:45. Why isn't anything happening? Because surgery is complicated, a new voice said. They turned. Doctor. Morrison stood there, already in surgical scrubs, her hair tucked under a cap. I wanted to talk to you both before we start. Your mother asked me to. Is she okay? Madison jumped up. She's scared, but determined. Dr. Morrison sat, gesturing for them to join her. She wanted me to explain what's going to happen. Every step, so you'd understand. For the next 20 minutes, Doctor. Morrison walked them through the procedure with careful detail. The incision, the removal of Victoria's kidney, the hours of surgery for Sarah, the risks, the recovery. She held nothing back, and by the end, both teenagers were pale, but resolute. Your mother is remarkable, Dr. Morrison said quietly. In 20 years of practice, I've never seen someone donate to a stranger, especially not in these circumstances. She's not doing it for Sarah, Blake said. She's doing it for Ethan, and for us, to show us what it means to be better than your anger. Then she's already succeeded. Dr. Morrison stood. We're starting in 30 minutes. It's going to be a long day. 8 to 10 hours, maybe more. I'll send updates when I can. After she left, Blake and Madison sat in silence. I was so awful to him, Blake said finally. To Ethan, that first night. I filmed him, mocked him, called him diseased, and now Mom is literally giving a piece of herself to save his mother. He buried his face in his hands. How do you come back from that? How do you look him in the eye knowing what you did? You show him who you really are, Madison said softly. Not who you were in that moment. You be his brother, every day, for the rest of your life. That's how you come back. At 7:30 a.m., the surgical teams were ready. Victoria was wheeled toward the operating room, Harrison walking beside her gurney. She'd insisted on seeing Sarah one last time. They paused outside Sarah's pre-op room. Through the window, they could see Ethan holding his mother, both of them crying. Second thoughts? Harrison asked Victoria quietly. Thousands. Victoria's attempt at humor fell flat. But I'm doing it anyway. Why? The question had haunted Harrison since she'd volunteered. Really, Victoria? Why risk everything for someone you have every reason to hate? Victoria was quiet for a long moment, watching Ethan through the glass. Because 13 years ago, she made a choice. She could have destroyed our marriage, demanded you leave me. Fought for recognition, money, her place in your life. She didn't. She disappeared. She suffered in silence, so I could have my perfect family. Victoria's voice cracked. She gave me 13 years of happiness by sacrificing her own. The least I can do is give her a chance at survival by sacrificing my comfort. It's more than comfort, Victoria. It's dangerous. So is living with the knowledge that I let a woman die out of pride. Victoria looked at him finally. I don't forgive you, Harrison. I don't know if I ever will, but I can forgive her, because she was trying to do the right thing, just like I'm trying to do now. The surgical nurse cleared her throat gently. Mrs. Ashford, it's time. Victoria nodded. She reached out, pressing something into Harrison's hand. A wedding ring. Keep it safe, she whispered. I want to put it back on when I wake up. When? Harrison repeated, his voice breaking. Not if. When. When? Victoria agreed. They wheeled her away. Harrison stood alone in the corridor, Victoria's ring burning in his palm like a promise, or a prayer. Inside Sarah's room, the anesthesiologist was explaining the process to Ethan. Your mom will go to sleep. When she wakes up, she'll have a new kidney and a chance to get better. But you need to understand. It's going to be scary. She'll be in intensive care for days. She'll have tubes and monitors and… I understand, Ethan interrupted. I understand she might die. Everyone keeps dancing around it. But I understand. 20% chance. That means 80% chance she doesn't make it. His voice was hollow. I'm 12, not stupid. Ethan, Harrison entered, having heard the exchange. It's okay, Dad. The word, Dad, still felt strange on Ethan's tongue, but he was trying. I'm okay. I have to be okay. For her. Sarah pulled her mask aside again. Ethan Chen, you listen to me. Whatever happens in that operating room, you are not alone. You have a father now, a brother, a sister. You have a family. And that family will hold you up when you can't stand. Do you understand me? I understand. Ethan's voice was small. But I don't want a family. I want you. I know, baby. I know. But if you can't have me, promise me you'll let them love you anyway. Promise me you won't push them away. I promise. Ethan collapsed against her, and Sarah held him with what little strength she had left. I love you more than life itself, she whispered. You are my everything, my whole world. And if I don't make it through today, you need to know, every second of being your mother has been worth it. Every struggle, every sacrifice, every moment of fear, worth it. Because I got to love you. The orderlies came then, gentle but firm. Miss Chen, we need to take you now. The separation was brutal. Ethan's hands clinging to his mother's until the last possible second. Sarah's eyes locked on her son's face, memorizing him. Harrison having to physically hold Ethan back as they wheeled Sarah toward the operating room. Mom! Ethan's scream echoed through the corridor. I love you, please don't leave me. I love you, Ethan. Sarah's voice carried back, strong despite everything. I love you so much. And then she was gone, the operating room doors swinging shut behind her. Ethan collapsed in Harrison's arms, his small body racked with sobs. Harrison held him, this son he barely knew, and felt his own tears fall. She's going to make it, Harrison whispered. She has to. She has too much to live for. What if she doesn't? Ethan's voice was muffled against Harrison's chest. What if this is the last time I ever see her alive? Then we'll face it together, Harrison said firmly. All of us. You won't be alone, Ethan. I swear to you. No matter what happens in that room, you will never be alone again. In the waiting room, Blake and Madison sat rigid, watching the clock. 8:00 a.m. Surgery starting. At 8:15, Dr. Morrison's assistant came out. First incision made on Mrs. Ashford. Vitals stable, proceeding as planned. At 9:30, another update. Kidney successfully removed from donor. Exceptional quality organ. Beginning recipient surgery. At 11, silence. No updates, just waiting. At 12:30, still nothing. At 1:45 p.m., the waiting room doors burst open. Dr. Morrison stood there, still in surgical scrubs, her mask pulled down. Her face was unreadable. Everyone stood. Harrison, Ethan, Blake, Madison. Even the handful of other families in the waiting room seemed to hold their breath. Victoria's surgery went perfectly, Dr. Morrison said. No complications. She's in recovery now. Vitals excellent. She'll make a full recovery. The relief was palpable. Madison sobbed openly. Blake's knees buckled, and he caught himself on a chair. And Sarah? Harrison's voice was steady despite the fear coursing through him. Dr. Morrison's expression shifted to something complicated. Sarah's surgery was challenging. Her body was more compromised than we realized. The new kidney is in place and functioning, but her other organs have taken significant damage from the toxin buildup. We had to resuscitate her twice on the table. Ethan made a sound of pure anguish. But, Dr. Morrison continued quickly, she's alive. She's in critical care. The next 72 hours are crucial. If she can make it through that, if her body accepts the kidney and her other organs begin to recover. She paused. She has a chance. A real chance. Can I see her? Ethan asked desperately. Not yet. She's sedated, intubated, being closely monitored. But soon. Maybe tomorrow, if she remains stable. And my mom? Madison's voice trembled. Can we see her? She's awake and asking for you. Come. They followed Dr. Morrison down the corridor to recovery. Through the window, they could see Victoria, pale but alive, awake, her hand resting on her bandaged side. When Madison and Blake rushed in, their mother smiled weakly. I told you I'd come back. You did it, Mom, Blake said through tears. You saved her. You actually saved her. We don't know that yet, Victoria said quietly. She still has to survive, but I gave her a chance. That's all any of us can do. Her eyes found Ethan standing in the doorway. Come here, sweetheart. Ethan approached slowly, and Victoria reached out her free hand. Your mother is a fighter, Victoria said. If she has even a fraction of your courage, she'll make it through this. And if she doesn't, she squeezed his hand. If she doesn't, you're still ours. You're still family. That doesn't change. Thank you, Ethan whispered, for trying, for risking yourself, for doing what should have been done a long time ago, Victoria finished, for choosing compassion over pride, for being the person I want my children to see when they look at me. Harrison stood at the window, watching his fractured family come together around a hospital bed. His wife, recovering from surgery. His 3 children, all 3 of them, united in hope and fear. Somewhere in critical care, Sarah Chen fought for her life with a kidney that had come from the most unlikely source imaginable. And Harrison prayed, truly prayed, for the first time in decades, for Sarah's survival, for Victoria's recovery, for Ethan's heart, for a second chance at being the man they all needed him to be. Hour 68 of 72. Ethan hadn't left the intensive care unit waiting room in 3 days. He'd slept in chairs, eaten hospital cafeteria food that Blake brought him, and stared at the clock like he could will time to move faster or slower. He didn't know which he wanted anymore. Sarah's condition had been a roller coaster. Hour 12, kidney function improving. Hour 24, fever spike, possible infection. Hour 36, breathing improved, ventilator reduced. Hour 48, heart rate unstable. Hour 55, kidney output excellent. Hour 62, brain activity strong. Every update was a coin flip between hope and despair. Ethan, Dr. Morrison appeared, and the boy's heart stopped. Her face was unreadable. You can see her now. She's awake. The world tilted. Awake? Harrison stood, his hand finding Ethan's shoulder. She's conscious? conscious, oriented, and asking for her son. Dr. Morrison's smile broke through. She's not out of danger yet. The next few weeks will be critical, but she's fighting. And right now, she's winning. Ethan ran. He burst through the ICU doors, past the nurse's station to room 4. Through the window, he could see her, his mother, eyes open, the breathing tube removed, her hand raised weakly in greeting. "Mom!" The word broke from him as he rushed to her side. "My boy." Sarah's voice was a whisper, rough from intubation, but it was hers. "My brave, beautiful boy." Ethan collapsed against her, careful of the tubes and wires, and sobbed. "I thought I lost you. I thought, I know, baby." Her hand stroked his hair with trembling fingers. "But I'm still here, still fighting, still your mom." Behind them, the Ashford family gathered in the doorway. Harrison's eyes filled with tears he no longer tried to hide. Madison clutched Blake's hand, both of them smiling through their own tears. And Victoria, still moving gingerly from her own surgery, leaned against the doorframe with something soft in her expression. Something that might have been joy. "Mrs. Ashford." Sarah's eyes found Victoria's. "You're here." "Where else would I be?" Victoria moved into the room slowly. "I gave you a piece of myself. I'm invested now." Sarah's weak laugh turned into a cough. When she recovered, her eyes were serious. "I don't have words for what you did, for what you risked." "Then don't try." Victoria approached the bed. "Just live. Live well. Live long. Raise that incredible son of yours. That's how you thank me." "I will." Sarah's voice strengthened. "I promise you I will." Blake stepped forward, his usual confidence replaced by something humble. "Ms. Chen, I need to say something. What I did that first night, what I said to Ethan, it was cruel, unforgivable. I can't take it back, but I want you to know. I see him now, really see him, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life being the brother he deserves." "You already are," Sarah said gently. "Ethan told me how you stayed with him during the surgery, how you brought him food, how you held him when he cried." Her eyes shone. "That's what brothers do. You're learning. That's all any of us can do." Madison moved to Ethan's side, wrapping an arm around her brother. "We're a family now. All of us. Weird and complicated and kind of broken, but family." "The best families usually are," Sarah said. Days turned into a week. Sarah's kidney function stabilized. Her other organs began to heal. Victoria recovered from her surgery, the scar on her side a permanent reminder of the day she chose compassion over pride. 2 weeks after the surgery, Sarah was moved out of ICU into a regular room. 3 weeks later, she took her first walk down the hospital corridor, Ethan on one side, Harrison on the other. A month after the surgery, Dr. Morrison stood in Sarah's room with her clipboard and an unprecedented smile. "Your numbers are excellent. Kidney function is at 90%. Your body has accepted the transplant beautifully. If you continue like this," she paused for effect, "you're going home in 3 days." The celebration was instant. Ethan threw his arms around his mother. Blake and Madison cheered. Harrison's shoulders sagged with relief he'd been carrying for weeks. Victoria, visiting with a basket of flowers, set them down carefully. "Home. To your apartment?" Sarah shook her head. "Actually, Harrison and I have been talking about what's best for Ethan, about giving him stability, family, everything he's needed." She looked at her son with infinite love. "We're moving into the guest house on the Ashford estate." Ethan's eyes widened. "Really?" "Really," Harrison confirmed. "It's separate, gives you and your mom privacy and independence. But you'll be close. Close enough for family dinners. Close enough for Blake to teach you basketball. Close enough for Madison to force you to watch her terrible movie choices." "Hey!" Madison protested, laughing. "Close enough to be family," Harrison finished. "If that's what you want." Ethan looked at his mother, then at his father, then at his siblings, then at Victoria. This complicated, beautiful, broken and healing family. "That's what I want," he whispered. "That's what I've always wanted." On Sarah's discharge day, the entire family gathered in the hospital lobby. Nurses who'd cared for her hugged her goodbye. Dr. Morrison shook Victoria's hand with profound respect. And Marcus, the family butler, waited with the car. As they walked toward the exit, Sarah stopped, turning to Victoria one last time. I can never repay you, she said simply. You already have. Victoria's hand moved to her side, to the scar beneath her designer blouse. You showed me what real strength looks like, what sacrifice means, what it means to put a child first. She glanced at Ethan. Thank you for that gift. The two women embraced, briefly, carefully, but genuinely. Two people who should have been enemies, bound together by the most unlikely act of grace. Outside, spring sunshine warmed the air. Ethan helped his mother into the car, Blake and Madison climbing in beside them, their voices overlapping with plans and jokes in the comfortable chaos of siblings. Harrison stood with Victoria, watching their expanded family. We're going to be okay, Victoria said quietly. All of us. Somehow. Somehow. Harrison agreed. As the car pulled away from Memorial Hospital, Ethan looked back one last time at the building where his mother had almost died, where his family had almost broken, where everything had almost fallen apart, but almost didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the woman beside him, alive and healing, the father driving, finally present, the siblings laughing, finally his, the future ahead, finally possible. What mattered was that love, complicated, messy, imperfect love, had won, and that was enough.